Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Aladdin's Castle here, and I am back again with another spicy video. This time I am going to be covering an Amber Amethyst Princess deck, aka a Fair Dogs deck. So the reason why I'm calling this a Fair Dogs deck is because if Dogs ever gets touched, I'm not sure if it will or not at this point, it has a lot of potential to be a top aggressive deck. There are cards in here like Aurora plus Willow, which allows for like a semi-swarm deck with princesses, and it sometimes allows you to play like 2 characters per turn with a fair draw and a fair removal, hence why it kind of feels like a little bit more fair Dogs deck, because you can kind of go a little bit wide, but you don't have the access to like something like Under the Sea, but you do have some cards that can kind of get rid of specific bodies, especially like some larger bodies or some evasives that is kind of intertwined in this deck. And again, like if anything happens to Dogs, I know a lot of people, I took a poll on my YouTube, there's about 115 people that said like 64% no and 30 whatever percent said yes. So that's just a small sample size, but from what I've seen online so far, people are just yeah, they're a little bit annoyed with Dogs, but they, you know, they're just like rotations around the corner. Things are going to get cycled out. Infinity is going to be focused in the next couple months, and you know, Dogs has kind of has its shine a little bit, but not as much as like the purple decks out there. So we'll see. But if this deck does get hit somehow, so like Tramp 7, then this is the deck to probably take a look at. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go straight with the deck over here. This is something that I played once last Friday at locals. I went 2-1, losing to Blurple. So I don't have as much experience with this as much as I'd like, but you could definitely try this out at your locals and let me know what you think. And if you feel like there's other cards in here that kind of slot in, just let me know. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start off with the 1-drop. So we have 4 Aurora holding court. She is a card from Fabled, which says whenever this character quests, you may pay 1 less ink for the next princess or queen character you play this turn. So this allows you to play your 3-cost, 4-cost princesses an extra turn early in case you want to be aggressive, which certain matchups you would like to do that, or even late game where you could play things for a little bit cheaper. Next, I got Alanwi. She is a princess support with 2 strength, which is very relevant because there's some cards that synergize with the support card, and just being able to have her early game just to kind of pump up your other characters to help fight the board is really, really important. And with Aurora, you could quest and then you could basically play her for free. So that's pretty cool, little synergy from there. Another really good card that is from this set is going to be Grandmother Willow. If you want to talk about playing cards for cheap, Willow is the main card that kind of has like this kind of engine that's built around Amber. This set just kind of build around card that lets you play things for cheaper, a turn earlier. You know, just being able to play 1 less goes really, really far, especially in the Dogs decks like we've seen in the last couple weeks. And even decks like this, that's a little bit more aggressive, where you can kind of play a bunch of characters for free, or even with less ink than you normally should. That allows you to keep up with the tempo against other decks. So I can't explain enough how Grandmother Willow is, and it's just really, really important. Next, another card that's really, really strong in Amber is Mowgli. I mean, Mowgli just takes out all the important cards like Under the Sea, Spooky Sights, Fire the Cannons, depending if it's stuck on their hands. It's just really, really powerful, and against the right, when you play it at the right time, you could kind of like win the game just by getting out probably like those Under the Seas that a lot of decks are playing right now to combat the Dogs decks. All right, another card that we have in this deck for 2 cost is Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin has been seen in a lot of purple steel decks lately. It's a great underdog card because it quests for 2 and it's a 1/3, so kind of sticky early on, unless they have like a Rafiki or a Basil or something. But it's very cool because in this deck you just want some extra lore, and against those Blurple decks, he's pretty much there. So he's in there for that extra lore pressure early on. Another card that is in there for extra lore pressure is going to be Pocahontas. Pocahontas is a new card from the set. It's a 3/2 that quests for 1 and a princess. That says whenever this character quests, gain lore equal to another chosen exerted character's lore. So it doesn't even have to be your own, but a lot of times you are questing yourself and you're questing with your 2 lore characters, so she could quest pretty aggressively. And if your opponent has like a character with 3 lore, maybe, they could be punished because of Pocahontas' ability. So it is a little bit weak for the 3/2, but there are some cards that could protect her in a way and mitigate her, such as the next card, which I regretfully do not have my other 2 copies of Rapunzel. I put her in a box somewhere, so she's somewhere hanging out, but I definitely would play 4 just for the princess synergy and the ability for her to be brought in through Willow for cheap or Aurora with cheap. She's a 1/2 support character. She just says whenever one of your characters is chosen for support, until the start of your next turn, the next time they would take that would be dealt damage, they take no damage instead. So that's really cool for that extra protection in case your opponent is planning on dealing damage, like some of those steel decks out there. And she's just cool for the support. There's some cards out there with 4 strength, and I play stuff like the World's Greatest Criminal Mind that could help with this, and there's some synergies with her as well. But she is in this deck for a reason. Onto my 3-cost cards, I run 4 Nani. Nani, I think you've seen in all of my Amber decks. It's just so good. Like, she could search for the top 4 cards, reveal a character with 2 cost or less, and put it to your hand. You have a really high chance of that. You do run a good amount of low drops, and she's a great 3/3 stat line, and it's just, she's so good. She essentially replaces herself, and you wouldn't think like a technically replacing card would go that far in this game, but she could help you find your Mowgli, she could help you find your Pocahontas if you want to quote-unquote shifter, which I'll be showing you that in a bit. But she's just overall a very versatile card, and really important in the Amber decks nowadays. Alright, on to another important card in this deck, and that is for Amethyst. I don't run too many purple cards in this deck. This is majority Amber, so the purple cards in here are crucial for this strategy. Maleficent is one of the best cards in the deck, mostly because it's one of the only ways to control the tempo and against other aggressive decks. She costs 3. She's a 0/4, but she says whenever this character quests, you may choose and discard a card to return chosen character, item, or location with 3 costs less to their player's hands. And again, this could be your own if you want to protect your own character. Back in the day, Green Purple Temple used to do this all the time, where they would quest for something, bring something back with like Fox, and then play Goat again, stuff like that. But Maleficent is mostly there to counter some of the aggressive decks. If you're able to start off first, and you could disrupt like their Willow plays, or maybe like a Cheshire Cat, or even like a Calhoun, it just brings them back a little bit because you're just winning the lore race at that point. Especially against other aggro decks, like you're questing for 2 and then getting rid of like their 2 lore quester at the same time, or if you're playing against like Amber Steel aggro, you're getting rid of like their Nalas or their Lilos. So it has a lot of uses, and the 0/4 is very hard to deal with unless they're playing like Lexington or Isis or something like that. But Maleficent is a very cool card in this deck because she helps protect against your against the aggressive cards that have high attack power, and kind of protects your board in a way, because then there's less characters for them to challenge your characters. And then I'm running the other Pocahontas, which is the Amber Pocahontas. She's a 2/5, which is very heavy for a willpower stat. And then when you play this character, chosen character gets +1 lore this turn. You might not think this is very helpful, but there are a lot of games where sometimes you just need that extra lore. This feels like one of those decks where it's like you really need that extra push. So sometimes you'll be having games that are like 17, 18 lore, and you just need a little bit more. This is one of those cards. It's like a White Rose basically, but she does help because she also shifts later on to the big Pocahontas. So there's multiple uses, and then there's also other cards that benefit from her having high willpower. But she's another shift target. And then to round off 3-cost characters is 2 Tiana. She has been in and out of the format a lot depending on what's going around. She hasn't been seeing a lot of play lately, Some Ruby decks have been popping up lately, especially like Luxus's Ruby Amber, so like Headless Horseman's running around, Sisu's running around in some of those Ruby decks, and like there's still easier ways to take this out, but against like some heavy challenge decks like Purple Steel, it can still be difficult for them to get rid of. And if you're opening up a Aurora turn 1 and Tiana turn 2 combo, certain decks again still have trouble getting rid of this, but not the best against like Blurple. They could always Into the Unknown this and whatnot, but there are some challenge decks that out there that's really hard to deal with. And if they're also playing an aggro deck and they don't have like Under the Sea or Strength or something to get rid of this, this does really pose a threat. But I only run her at 2 because I didn't want to be heavily invested into the Tiana combo, but it is there in case she's able to kind of go off. All right, onto some of my utility cards over here. I have 3 World's Greatest Criminal Mind. This is a hard removal. Banish chosen characters with 5 strength or more. This is one of the few ways to get rid of like the big characters like Moana or Maui Shark. But again, like I said earlier, I do play some support cards like Lanwi and Rapunzel, so that extra support can target characters that have like 3 or 4 strength. So things like Dumbo and Angel that have 3 strength could be pumped up with a Lanwi, and now you could play World's Greatest Criminal Mind on them. That's pretty cool. Even like ladies that are 4/4s. Again, like if you have 2 cost Rapunzel, you could support that one by 1, and then you could also pop it with this card. So there's some very specific cards, and Ed just recently won the DLC in Taipei, so blue-green might be have an uptick in the meta as well. So you might see some of those heavy 5 strength characters or more, and this could be useful. So some of these cards, again, just it really depends on what the meta turns out to be and what decks you expect to be going against either at your locals, at set champs, or other big third-party events. Next is 3 Horseman Strikes. I used to have 2. I upped it to 3 because of Blurple. That was my loss for the Friday locals, so I decided to take this out. It just targets the Dumbos, Elsas, the Yagos, all that good stuff, and it's just a good card to maybe have like as a semi-draw power. It is heavy, but you want to have this against the purple meta, and purple green evasives I've seen run around too as well. So if the chance that you do run into one of those, it's a very, very strong card to get rid of those important pesky evasives. All right, and the other 3 cost action card we run is Ohana Means Family. Ohana Means Family has a potential for drawing off of your high 4 or 5 willpower characters. I mentioned earlier Pocahontas is like a 3/5. The Shift is a 6 willpower. The Chief that you'll see in a little bit is also 5. So this has a lot of high ceiling to draw. Certain Amber decks, you won't really need this because a lot of Amber characters aren't going to necessarily retain that much damage, even though they are known for some high willpower characters. But in this deck specifically, you could benefit from just challenging like your smaller princess characters, giving them support so you could trade, and then you heal 3 or 4, and you could just draw that much. So it's a very, very cool card that you could draw a lot off of. I've drawn 2 to 3 cards on average, and that still feels pretty good, especially in a deck where you play Willow and Aurora, which can cheat in characters. So it's not like you're losing so much. You're paying 3, yes, for the hard cost, but then you have like Willow out, which could maybe you could play like another 2 cost character for 1 more ink. So stuff like that, like it kind of balances out where it's in this deck. In other decks, maybe like hard casting 3 is a little bit more challenging, but in this, you're cheating out cards with Willow and Aurora, which kind of balances off the resources that you'll be used for certain cards, if that makes sense. All right, rounding off towards the end over here, we have 4 Chief Powhatan. I don't know how to pronounce this. My apologies for butchering it. But we saw the power of him in the CCS, that Sky one, his Amber Steel deck. I wasn't sure if I wanted to run Chief or Mickey. At the locals, I ran Mickey Champion just to give my Amber characters +2 health. I think it was okay, but it just didn't feel good with trading, especially when Blurple is playing cards like Isis, and now they're challenging with like their 3 strength or 4 strength characters. I need ways to protect my characters, so being able to have like a big body 5/5 that they most likely have to crash 2 characters in if they don't have like a hard removal like Into the Unknown or Let It Go or something like that. He can help protect your character early, even if you have like a Willow on turn 2. You could play this on turn 3 if you like. Probably not the best, but there's an option too. And again, if he's just soaking in damage, you could play Ohana Means Family. So stuff like that. Again, like he's I think a little bit more useful here for the potential to protect your characters. And he can just have some really crazy lines with like your Tiana. Like Tiana, they have to go over Tiana, and then they also have to go over the bodyguard. Now they have to pick and choose between which character they have to fight against. But yeah, I really like them against like the purple decks, like the purple steel decks that have to challenge. So it just feels like they have to do like a 2-for-1. Next is Yzma. Yzma is there for the Maleficent combo. Yzma, you could just play the 3-drop Maleficent and then have Yzma out and then dump your hand with Maleficent and refill with Yzma. Sometimes your opponent just doesn't take this out right away, and then you could just kind of refill 2 cards even, and that goes a long way. But you're dropping some cards. You don't draw too many depending on what you play in the early game. So Yzma is a nice card to draw. And the final card is Pocahontas. She is the new legendary from set 11 with shift 3, so you can actually bring her in pretty early. She's a 3/6, quest for 2, and she says when you play this character, if you shift to play her and none of your characters challenge this turn, characters can't challenge until the start of your next turn. So she could set up for some really crazy lines where you're questing for 5 lore, and then now you shift onto her, and then they can't challenge until the next turn, so then you're questing again. And then you follow up with like something like a chief for a bodyguard next time. So now they have to get rid of chief, then they have to get rid of this high willpower character, and then you're already questing for another 5/7 lore. Or if you have Tiana out, now they have to deal with Tiana, Pocahontas, and chief. So it kind of has like an interesting setup dynamic if your opponent can't get rid of all of that at once. These are like some really key cards that kind of hinders your opponent from deciding what to do. Like it's really annoying to kind of deal with a Tiana if you don't have the answers for it, but also then you can't challenge if you shift with Pocahontas, and then on top of that you have a 5/5 bodyguard. That I think is like the strongest like on play moves that you could do, is just going through that kind of line and just having that much protection for your stuff. But yeah, that is the deck. There are some cards that I didn't include that you might want to consider. Stuff like Queen Sensor Core. I feel like it's a little bit too slow without a proper setup. But if you do need a little bit more draw power, you could probably run this because you run 25 princesses in this deck, so you're most likely to hit off of it. And I do like the nice passive lore gain that it has, but it also depends on your local meta. Like if players are putting an item hate against like Chromadogs and stuff, then you probably want to lay off of Sensor Core. But if you could find like 2 or 3 copies, I'd recommend it. Also Moana, the 5-cost classic one, I think she's really good for like the more aggressive builds. She's a 1/5 sure, but like she quests for 3 and she could ready up and quote unquote protect your characters. But I run bodyguard and I run Tiana, so it kind of like defeats the purpose of making my opponent struggle with challenging into those certain characters. And then Belle is also really good too. She's transfers damage because a lot of your characters have that high willpower, like Pocahontas and Chief. So if you're able to soak up damage, you can just transfer stuff onto other characters. So that's also a nice alternative if you want like a nice top end character that's has many uses. But yeah, overall, I think it could keep up with the aggressive pressure against decks like Blurple and Blue-Green, especially cards like Christopher Robin and Pocahontas and all my 2 lore characters. And then playing like a well-timed Mowgli is also good against the green-blue decks that play Under the Sea or even dogs. And speaking of dogs, like Maleficent, you know, it also helps with that control aspect, getting rid of those small characters, those 3 cost or less characters. And it has answers for evasives, it has some removal for big bodies, and potentially, you could draw a bunch of cards by healing off of your Pocahontas or Chief with Ohana means family. So I honestly think it's a solid tier 2 deck. I don't think it's like a meta breaking, so to say, but I think it's on the cusp of surprising a lot of people. I think you could take this at a set champs and do very fine with it, just depending on the meta. But certainly if something, checks out of dogs, I think it's worth checking out, especially if you guys like princess support. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this deck. Try it out, it's a lot of fun. And I guess we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.